They said the house was empty. No lights, no neighbors, no reason anyone should be inside. But at 3:17 a.m., someone started knocking on the bedroom door. From the inside. Find somewhere dark and quiet. Put your headphones on. Listen closely now. Tonight's story is called The Scent of Home. Let's begin.
Maya stood on a wind-swept ridge with sweat cooling on her neck. Her pack was heavy. The trail behind her had thinned to a memory of footprints. She expected pine, dry grass, the metallic taste of hiking dehydrated food. Instead, she smelled pancakes. Not a vague outdoor hint of breakfast. Her sister's pancakes. The butter, the brown sugar, the exact brand of syrup her sister always used. For a second, she smiled and forgot the map.
Who is cooking out here? The wind carried it toward her like an invitation. A plate clinked on a table she'd never seen.
Maya was running from something quiet and small, an apartment that had turned hollow after a breakup, the ache of loneliness. She'd come to the trail to find space, to end a week that felt like a repeating bruise. She knew how longing could sharpen every small kindness into a lighthouse. She had a tendency to listen to small mercies. That made her easy to fool.
I remember thinking it was home. I hadn't heard my sister in months. The smell felt like proof that everything was normal. It was the strangest comfort. I wanted it to be true.
The first report we can pin down, before the map of disappearances had a shape, was small. An older man paused on a switchback and said he smelled aftershave. It wasn't just a scent in the wind. It was the exact cologne his brother used to wear, the one he hadn't smelled in 10 years. He stopped. He listened. He told himself it was memory, a trick of heat and nostalgia. He kept walking.
We get all sorts of strange calls. People leave things on the trail. Lighters, notes, jackets. But the pattern here isn't stuff. It smells. People report the smell of a cigarette that belonged to a loved one, the bread from a family bakery, shampoo from a child's locker. Then, sometimes, they follow it.
At first, authorities treated these as isolated instances, nostalgia, misattribution, even suggestions of staged hoaxes. But the reports multiplied. Bread in an empty clearing, a woman's perfume on a boulder where no one had been, a lullaby hummed on a gust of wind. We mapped the times, the bearings, the disappearances. A corridor of incidents started to emerge across county lines, seasonal and maddeningly specific.
What connected the stories wasn't logic. It was longing. The landscape seemed to learn the small domestic markers people carried inside them, the rituals that make a life. The places where people felt safe became bait. There was a clearing that smelled exactly like my sister's kitchen. I walked toward the center because my feet betrayed me. I remember the light changed, like the trees folded to make room. It wasn't gross or violent at first. It was patient. It held itself like an offer.
I spoke to families who found ghost kitchens, rings of stones with the smell of coffee, a child's blanket hung on a branch, a small pile of dust that smelled like a perfume bottle. None of these things had human occupants, but some of them were identical to what a missing person loved most. It was as if the earth had copied private life and set it down, waiting.
We tried markers, cameras, everything. Cameras caught only wind and light. The instruments I trust recorded normal patterns, temperature, humidity, nothing supernatural. But people who had gone out to investigate came back different, quiet, wide-eyed. Some said the land knew their names. Others said it knew what they missed most.
And then there was the clearing that rearranged itself. Maya described returning to a place she'd been hours before and finding a whole layout altered. A rock that had been to the left now sat like a chair to the right. Another tree's low limb formed the curve of a table. The sense intensified with proximity, like a hand guiding her steps. The logic of the world loosened. I told myself I would leave. I told myself I'd step back and breathe. But my hands remembered pouring coffee. My throat remembered laughter. It wasn't only nose and air. It was memory turned audible. I heard a spoon, like a tiny bell. That sound is what nearly did it for me.
This is where things change. Maya had to choose. Follow what felt like home, or trust that the place promising comfort was itself the danger. She took one step away, then another. Each step was a battleground between want and survival. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears like a second voice, trying to tell the truth.
The climax isn't a monster lurching from the trees. It's quieter. It's the moment a person realizes the world is imitating her most private anchor, then watches the world close its hand. Maya stood at the lip of the hollow, the scent thick as syrup, and a voice, not her sister's, not quite, said, "Come home." She stepped back and ran.
I ran until the smell thinned. I thought, if I tell someone, they'll think I made it up. But there were others. A man who smelled his father's pipe and wandered into fog. A mother who followed the smell of her daughter's shampoo and didn't return. We started keeping lists.
We changed our advisories. We recommend groups only. We warn about following sensory cues, and we tell hikers to trust their maps more than their memories. I still get calls. People convinced they've smelled something personal. We try to be compassionate without feeding hysteria. It's a thin line.
In the aftermath, families live with the knowledge that something in those woods can become intimate enough to call someone by way of a taste or a smell. For some, the map is now a record of absence. For others, it's a place of whispered policy. Stay on trail. Don't follow a scent. Stick with a partner. For Maya, the scar is quieter, an instinct and mistrust comfort when it comes from outside the world she knows.
Years later, a hiker at dusk reported the faint smell of pancakes on the same ridge Maya had left. She hesitated, took a picture that showed only trees and sky, and then she left. The smell vanished like a thought. But one more person felt it. One more person wondered if something out there was learning the wrong things. Habits, voices, the exact cut of someone's laugh, and using them as an invitation. If you're listening in the dark, know this. Longing is a real thing, and it makes us vulnerable. The woods are beautiful and indifferent. Sometimes the danger is not claws or teeth. Sometimes it's a memory called back to you on the wind. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who listens in the dark. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you're still here, it means the story followed you all the way to the end. Take a breath. Look around your room. Make sure everything is exactly where you left it. I'm Semnang. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your lights maybe not too bright. Good night.